Today is Yom Ha'atzmaut, Israel's birthday. This year Israel turns 66, and I always know how old Israel is because it's the same age as my father. The way that I think about the country, the state, is also the way I think about people sometimes. Imperfect, growing, striving, loving, noble, capable of enormous, enormous good. We don't always do good as people, but our hearts are always inclined to do better. And so I happen to be a rabbi, a Jew who lives in Berkeley, California, a place where it is sometimes very complicated to have a conversation about any country, be it Israel, the United States, any. Being trustworthy, being a place of love and beauty. But I am a Jew, and I face east when I pray. It is not only a metaphor. There was a day that, on a trip to Israel, I was taken on a tour of a battleship, the INS Cherev, which means sword, docked in Haifa, in the north of Israel. And I remember that day because I don't like guns and I don't like war. I don't really like ships either. And so we were taken on board this new craft. And I looked at all of the weaponry and I felt uncomfortable. And they brought us down to see the bunks where the Israeli Marines sleep. And I remember looking at these bunks and saying to myself, I've seen this before. A place where Jews are crowded together in bunks, because just that year I had also been to Poland. Israel isn't only about a response to the Shoah, to the Holocaust. But in that moment, the alignment between being a free people, defending itself against a very real enemy, wherever that enemy might be. I don't consider the Palestinians intransient enemies, but I do know that rockets continue to fire into the south of Israel, that Syria continues within its own civil war to rattle its own sabers. I know that Egypt has a tenuous relationship with Israel at the moment, despite a peace agreement. When I stood facing those bunks on the INS Cherev, I became very overwhelmed. I needed air. And so I walked up the stairs to the top of the ship, and facing me was this. Facing me was an Israeli flag, telling me that no matter where I am in the world, this ship will come for me if I ever need it. And I pray for the welfare of the Jewish people everywhere in the world. And I pray for the welfare of the state of Israel, the home of the Jew. It is complicated when we speak geopolitically, but for a Jewish heart, it's not complicated at all. I do work for a better Israel. I support organizations like New Israel Fund that is all about achieving a deeper sense of democracy for Israel, the Jewish homeland. And I also support organizations like AIPAC, who lobby incessantly and very successfully on behalf of a United States-Israel partnership and beyond, because the survival of Israel is nothing less than a sacred mission for the Jewish people and for the world. I do the same kind of lobbying for a deeper democracy in the United States. Does that mean there's any lack of love for the United States from this very grateful child of its shores? No, it is the depth of my relationship that calls me to call upon the democracy that is the United States to be better. It is precisely that kind of call that leads me, as a child of Israel, to call for it to be better. But I am proud of both. My heart is divided between the two. On Yom Ha'atzmaut, on Israel's Independence Day, and the day before Yom HaZikaron, Israel's Memorial Day for all of those who fell in order that there should be an Israel, my heart aches because I'm not home. I love the United States. It's my native country, and yet it isn't home in the way that Israel is. Jews can live anywhere in the world, it's true. Actually, not everywhere, but many places. But that's home. That flag doesn't mean agreement, it means home. Home doesn't mean agreement. Home means home. I close with one short anecdote. There was a trip to Israel I took a few years ago, and I walked into a coffee shop named Aroma in the Malcha Mall in Jerusalem. And I ordered a coffee. And the person behind the register took down my name and said, Café le Menachem, a coffee for Menachem. And I was shocked because when I order a coffee anywhere else in the world, really, I have to spell my name and help them pronounce it. There have been times where I use an alias to make it simple. But at that coffee shop, when that barista called my name in Hebrew, accented appropriately, looked me in the eyes because there was nothing different about me for being a Jew, I knew that that was home. Now, those who worked to build a state of Israel, of course, some had a religious bent to their activism. Some were just trying to be safe as Jews in the world. Some even believed in a universalistic principle that once we achieved a state, we could help the world as a light in the world. We're working on all of that at the same time. But I am a grateful Jew. I am an incredibly proud Zionist. We've got work to do, but aren't we proud of our 66-year-old home? Mazel tov, Israel.